You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go! Hola, and welcome to Podcast PXN. This is episode 123, 123, and one of your hosts, your favorite Portland Mexican, Christian Macias. And alongside me today, joined over Discord by Kentucky's #1 Spartan, Daniel Prindle, a.k.a. Dan is DTM. Hello, my friend.
Hello.
And, of course, the Nintendo aficionado at Roro. Hi, buddy.
Hey,
Thank you, everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Just search Podcast PXN, as well as over on Twitch, twitch.tv/podcastpxn, and on Twitter as well. The topic of the show this week is Phil of the Xbox Future, the acquisition aftermath.
I love the Xbox.
Yeah,
Can't put that into the theme song, but I tried.
22nd century gaming, man. But of course, the show always starts with the PXN news of the week. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Guys, we've been doing quick bites for a while.
Yes.
This is probably the longest quick bite I've ever written down. Okay? So of course, folks listening, viewing at home, the quick bites are just kind of a way for us to catch up on the news and for you to catch up on the news of the week in the games industry. And whether or not we talk about it for a long time is completely up to us three. If something kind of resonates, we'll spend more time on that. That said, Dan, Ro,
Yes.
if anything catches your attention here, please stop us. Let's talk about it.
Right.
First of all, I want to shout out the folks over at 61 Indie, whose reviews now will be included on OpenCritic and count towards the overall OpenCritic score. That is fantastic for them. Please, use your power in my favor so that I can win Fantasy Critic League this year.
Yes.
And then make Dan lose. I'm kidding.
Just raise those indie scores over there. Yeah, I remember, I think I found them, I don't know if they were founded last year or if it was the year before, but I think I found their site last year is when I became aware of them. And they're the reason why Everhood, which is one of my Game of the Years last year, was even on my radar. That I found it through one of their reviews. So I know there are some kind of funny best friends over there too. So that's awesome for them, doing some awesome stuff in the indie space. So that's really cool.
Throw some snaps up. Congratulations again. Moving on, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga had a gameplay overview on Twitter. I think it was late last week. I'm sorry. The game launches April 5th. There's also some scuttlebutt about extensive crunch over at Telltale Games to get this going. So, yeah, biggest thing here obviously is the crunch. Second biggest thing, there's a mumble mode in Lego Star Wars. The game looks fantastic though, so pretty.
Oh,
One
it
of
looks
Dan's
fantastic.
crafted games. I was going to say
Somebody
one of
claimed
Dan's.
this, right?
Yeah, Dan did. Yeah. Yep. In our
Sorry.
Fantasy Critic League.
I think I also bid on it, but obviously it was not enough money because Dan got it. I don't know how much he's dropping there. I gotta check how much money you have left. I can do that.
I have like $71 left, I think.
Jesus, man's just
I think
spending.
Gage
Yeah, like
somehow
two
has
slots.
$38 left.
What?
I think. Let me check real quick while you guys are talking.
That's insane.
What did he buy?
I don't know. Yeah, he has $35 left.
He
Oh
overpaid.
my god!
He may have
He overpaid.
overpaid for some stuff. Yeah. Oh, he only
For
has 3
Stalker
spaces
2.
left actually. So maybe not. But
Oh wow!
I still have 98
Dang.
buckaroos left. But I'm
Bro,
gonna
you and I
lose
got some
anyway.
catching up to do.
Yeah.
Until then, guys, this comes from Unity. Unity and Ziva Dynamics are making realistic, lifelike character creation accessible and scalable for all artists. There's an super uncanny video that I shared with the group that's been going around Twitter. I linked the wrong thing apparently. I clicked on it to go look at it, and it's a link to an IGN article. So I'm sorry, but if you search up Unity and you search up like their partnership with Ziva Dynamics, you'll see that video. It is scary how
Creepy.
yeah, it's creepy, but like it's also really cool that they're going to make this available for a lot of artists to be able to use this kind of tech for any kind of gaming stuff that they want to do.
Similar to the Epic Games creator that they made a little while ago for Unreal Engine. That I forget the name of it, but yeah, creepy.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah, impressive, but yeah, like you said, extremely uncanny to a bad degree.
I don't know. I saw this and I'm like, I told Dan, I want, let's bring back LA Noir. Make me guess, see if someone's
Yeah.
lying or not.
So, well, except I still would not be able to tell if they're lying or not.
Right. And moving on, a new studio by Yakuza creator Toshihiro Nagoshi under NetEase is officially called Nagoshi Studio. I'm not huge on the Yakuza games. I know a lot of people are. Like those games are. I love seeing the videos come across on YouTube because those games look absolutely insane. I just don't have the time to be spending in all those. But that said, that is awesome. Nagoshi now has like a lot more creative freedom to do what he wants to do and not have that kind of those pressures on him. So that is incredible.
Very cool.
Moving on, Elden Ring finally went to gold, and apparently can be mained in around 30 hours. And then for you to supposedly, it's not supposedly, it's supposed to be designed to reduce player stress without reducing the enemy difficulty. So, Ro, please,
Yeah.
you thinking about it now?
Definitely. I was thinking about it before, but this is like even better. Like the fact that it's not going to be super stressed. And I know Dan, like he's famously the one who says like these games make me rage real hard.
They make you
So
rage?
yeah. How do you feel about this one, Dan? Does it make you want to play it too?
I don't know, because their answer was like it's still very challenging. It's just that they're trying to like I guess break things up a little bit more is what I took from it. But God, this is coming from the person who was rage induced by the second to last boss fight in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and that game is nowhere near as hard as Dark Souls, and it's inspired by Dark Souls and that kind of stuff, but it's not anywhere near as that difficult. But
man's raging for Fallen Order. I like it.
Yes, it literally. If Sean is out there somewhere, he can attest to this because he was living here at the time. I literally threw some. Oh, I know what it was. I threw an ornament at my fucking wall and put a hole in my wall because I was so mad. It was Christmas time, so I had my tree up, and I literally chucked it. I was so mad, and I put a hole, and I was like, "Oh no!" I just put a hole in the wall.
Oh, no.
Oops.
Couldn't you just like bump down the difficulty for like a fight?
That's the
Or were
thing.
you too stubborn?
I was on normal difficulty, whatever the normal was, and I'm like, I have to
Yeah.
beat this. I cannot turn it down at this point. I made it to that point in the game, and I was just getting destroyed by him, but finally got it. So.
Congrats. You know, I'll admit it. I raged once, but I punched. There's a pillow behind me, that orange one. I punched that pillow one time playing Cuphead. All right, it was like 3 times. But yeah, that's the only time. Moving on. Some Horizon news. I got 2 this week. Carrie-Anne Moss and Angela Bassett are in Horizon Forbidden West. Carrie-Anne Moss is going to play. I didn't write down the name of the character. Kind of like a side character, like kind of that you can meet. She's part of the story, and Angela Bassett is supposed to play some kind of antagonistic role. So I thought that was very cool and surprising. Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Very cool.
More Horizon news. Forbidden West previews have been released this week, and they are good. Like, really good. I watched a few minutes of the IGN preview by Jonathan Dornbush, and was like, "This game looks absolutely insane." I stopped watching after 2 minutes. I was like, "I've seen enough. I know that this game is gonna rule." So,
Yes, it looks gorgeous. It's unbelievable. I don't know. I don't know how this game runs on a PS4.
I'm so curious to see how that's gonna look like.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the place that I'll probably be playing it on. But yeah, it looks fantastic.
Awesome,
I can't wait to see if it works, but I'm definitely excited to give it a shot when it comes around because as Dan said, it looks beautiful. The combat looks so fun, and the types of enemies that they're introducing just look to be like interesting. I can't wait to like wrap my mind around a good strategy to take down these new enemies. So very excited.
2 questions here. One, what kind of PS4 do you have, bro? Is it a Pro? Is it the OG?
It's a Slim. It's the
Okay,
PS4 Slim. So
Okay.
I know a lot of people say, oh, it sounds like a jet engine and all that kind of stuff. I haven't had that issue yet with my specific one. I'm trying to think of the last big PlayStation 4 game that I played. It was probably Miles Morales, or trying to think of something that came on PS5 but also came on PS4 that I played. But I think that's the last one that I can remember, and it was fine. That is a smaller game, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with this one.
I was rocking the launch PS4 throughout the entire lifetime that I had the PS4, and playing Red Dead 2 or Last of Us Part 2 like that. I was afraid one time it was gonna explode. I was like, I have to turn my console off because I don't know what's going on.
Last of Us is a good one. I didn't have a
Yeah.
problem with that one either. But yeah, maybe it's the older ones.
I think when I was playing Uncharted 4, I think my launch PS4 sounded like it was about to blow up, and I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
Scary, dude.
Yeah.
The dust and yeah. Anyway, last note I'll say is that I had a realization this week. I was like, I'm gonna cuss because I need to.
go for it.
They're actually gonna release Horizon and Elden Ring a week apart. Like that's a thing that's gonna happen, and I just have to deal with that. Shout out to Emmett Watkins Jr. over on Twitter who was like, dude, just don't play Horizon at a launch. Just get to it later. And you know what? I might have to do it.
You gotta set your priorities, I guess. Like for me, it's Destiny, right? So that's probably what I'm going to be playing in February instead of those two games, which is
Yeah.
say what you will about it, but that's what I want to play in February.
Yeah,
I respect it.
That's the most important thing. It's whatever you enjoy the most. Like, obviously, you're a big Destiny guy. Christian's a big Soulsborne guy. So, I mean, that makes sense. I'll be playing Horizon. So we're playing
There we
three
go.
different
Oh,
games.
hey, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes, and then we can all talk about it when we come together for the podcast.
Yeah.
This works.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Awesome.
We plan
Let us
that.
know what you want to play in February. Moving on, Blizzard is developing a survival game for PC and consoles set in a new universe. The wording on this was funny on the announcement, saying a new unannounced game is in development, and it's like, well, bestie, you just announced it.
Oh man, I like the concept art, but as many announced games are, you really don't know that much about it until they start showing stuff. But yeah, Blizzard is in an interesting place. I would like to be excited about what they're making. I'm just not right now, but I like the concept art. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We definitely have to
I'm
see.
sorry, I'm
more.
looking at the art.
It's obviously we don't know anything about it, so it's like,
Yeah.
what is this? But this feels kind of very much like something that they had up their sleeve, like they wanted to announce, and then maybe like the Microsoft acquisition talks like slowed them. Like they're like, hey, we can't announce this yet because we have this deal. We have to wait until that's finalized or whatever. But or I guess not finalized, but announced. But I don't know.
And I mean, like the most recent studio I saw doing this as well was like Naughty Dog, who was, they would tweet out saying, "Hey, we're working on an unannounced project, right?
True.
We are also looking for people who are interested in helping us make this game." And of course, Blizzard did the same thing. If you go to their the link from that tweet where they talk about the announcement, at the bottom is links to apply for art, design, and engineering. So, yeah.
The one concept art image that they showed gives me Forspoken vibes a little bit, just because it's like there's a city before you go into like the fantasy world, and there's like a bike, so it's kind of melding the two worlds. Like these two characters are very much in everyday clothing going into a fantasy world, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, cannot wait. Very excited to see what comes of it. Until then, here's our next quick bite. This comes from IGN. PSN briefly displayed all PS4 trophies as PS3 games. Damn, is backwards compatibility actually coming? Last week we talked about the trophies, or it wasn't the trophies. It was the games on the store, right?
Yeah.
We kind of assumed it was some kind of back end kind of bug or glitch in the store, because those things have happened before. But then to have this compounded after last week is like, I don't know. I feel like where there's smoke, there's fire. Is this actually happening?
Yeah, I remember
knows?
last week thinking like, oh, it's just a bug, but And these are a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
If it is,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that maybe it is coming.
Interesting.
Maybe they announce it along with Spartacus later this year. Be very cool.
It's all just like, they're just throwing people off it. None of it's real. They're just, I don't know.
Business.
that would suck. Some more PlayStation news. Captures on the PS app are now live, sort of, but I'll get to that in a minute. You can send your captures that you took on your PS5 to the app, and you can have your console automatically upload those captures from the PS5 to the PS5 app automatically. I tested it out the same day this happened, and every time I would take a video or a screenshot, it would start uploading to my phone, and then those are available on your phone for 14 days on the app, or just deletes to save up space. That was the night that happened. The next day, just didn't work anymore. It was gone. It's apparently it's still just like in limited use for a few people, myself included. So I enjoyed it for one day, one night.
I was a
Fun
little.
while it
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying it was fun while it lasted.
I was a little surprised. I didn't even know that this wasn't a thing already, because obviously I'm a primary Xbox user and that's already on there, which it's weird that they store the clips and stuff on your phone, because like on the Xbox app, it just goes to the cloud, your cloud profile, and you can download it from there if you want to. But yeah, that's interesting. Very, very exciting that they're getting this. Obviously, it helps sharing things.
I don't think it is on the phone either. I think I might have misspoken.
Oh, okay.
Granted, I didn't check, but it does delete after 14 days. I don't know if Xbox does at all.
It doesn't.
No. Okay. Yeah. Well, Xbox wins in that regard, man. Either way, I don't think this was actually supposed to happen for everyone yet, because PlayStation did not make any kind of announcement or Twitter thing about it. It was just some people found it on their PS app because it updated and they went in and they checked it, and so it was going around that way and not through any official channels. So yeah, maybe why. Otherwise, Paramount Plus. What's for Paramount Plus? Dan, this is for you. The official trailer for the Halo series arrives this Sunday. Are you excited?
Am I excited? Of course I'm excited. No, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a big trailer, and I think we'll get a release date at the end of it. They did just do a big blog post I saw when I got home from work, kind of detailing what we're going to see, but I haven't had a chance to read it because I was scrambling to put things together for the podcast real quick before the show, so I'm definitely interested to read that after the show. But yes, very excited. Halftime of the AFC Championship game, which my home team, Cincinnati Bengals, are in, which is crazy. They literally haven't won a playoff game in 31 years, and then all of a sudden now they're in the AFC Championship game. Crazy.
I love that Dan's home team is in another state.
Yeah, it is. Yes, but they're.
I mean, is it like a 15-minute drive? Yes.
Yes. But they're not my favorite team, though. The Colts are my team, so I'm rooting for the Bengals, but they're not my team. Sorry.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Who does Burrows play for? Is that the Bengals?
The Bengals. Yep.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
Sorry, I only watch real football, aka soccer.
Oh,
I went there.
got him.
Also, another quick bite I'm gonna throw in just as a why not as a thing here. Dan,
Yes.
For you visual listeners, visual watchers, Dan has been toying around with the overlays, and I think it's looking pretty good. The 4-person layout looks really good as well.
Yes.
Maybe
Unfortunately,
in 2 weeks you'll see it.
we couldn't use it because Gage isn't here. Hence why I was scrambling before the podcast to put together this one. Thanks, Gage.
That Gage.
Looks good, though.
Ay.
Moving on, today, announced by Crytek, Crysis 4 is coming. Guys, I used to love Crysis 2, the demo, not the game, because I never bought the game. But the demo rocked. I used to play it over and over again. I've always wanted to go back and play Crysis 2 and 3. I just haven't never done it. So with Crysis 4 coming, I might just have to go back and play through 2 and 3. Because I heard 1 was like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you, Christian. I love 2. 3 I thought was good, but I still think 2 is the best. Actually, fun fact, I tested Crisis 2 like a year and a half to 2 years before it came out with EA's program. I probably wasn't supposed to say that, but oh well. It's like 10 years ago at this point. Oh well. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. And obviously, Crytek has been kind of quiet lately, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can your PC
Dude.
run Crisis 4?
I know, right? Dude, that game is gonna look ridiculously good. Crytek is known for like having gorgeous games, dude. I can't wait to see what it looks like. All right. Last, but certainly not least, for you Pokemon fans, RCS reviews are starting to roll in, and the game is reviewing great. And I'm talking 8, 9s, and 10s. IGN IGN US, I should say, is not part of these roundups. They had the code, I think, late last week. And so they opted to spend a bit more time and release the review on launch day. But otherwise, there's some Game Informers here, Eurogamer. Yeah, great scores. OpenCritic of 86, Metacritic of 85 as of this morning.
Crazy.
Wow.
I was not expecting a 10 from anyone, but they got at least 2, I think. At least 2 10s from certain outlets. But I'm so happy that it's reviewing well. I pre-ordered it the day before the reviews went out, so I was super happy to see that it got good reviews the day after. So I got it preloaded on my Switch. I'm ready to go on Friday. I'm so excited.
So surely, Ro, you drafted them, right, in our draft league?
No,
Did anybody?
didn't.
No.
You know what I did? I drafted the other open world game, Sonic Frontiers. Is that going to blow up in my face? Probably. But maybe I'll be surprised like I am with Pokemon. Maybe it'll be a fantastic game. So.
Who's gonna be your starter, Ro? Have you decided?
Oh, it's Cyndaquil. Oh, it's Typhlosion is one of my favorite Pokemon. I know he has well, I'm not going to say anything. Actually, maybe I shouldn't say anything. But Cyndaquil, because I love Typhlosion.
Nice. All right.
There
you have it.
Dan, did you draft Pokemon?
I was literally. We can't draft them now.
I was trying to get it after the fact.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I tried to draft it after the fact, and I realized you can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
I was trying to like debate with myself last week whether I wanted to draft it or not for $1. I was literally going to put $1 on it, but then I'm like, my list is literally all but 2 filled, so I'm like, I don't want to only have 1 game left, so I'm like, I didn't do it, but I guess I should have.
So what is the first game that's going to be dropping in terms of for our league? Like, what's like the first there? I'll go in there.
I think it's
Dying Light 2.
Oh,
Is it?
Dying Light 2 on February 4th by
then
none other than Dan. And I heard it's like previewing pretty good. Like people are liking it. So
actually have looks like 3 February games. Jeez.
yeah, you got a lot in there. Anyway, all right, that is it for the quick bites. We're moving on to the big boy, the meat and potatoes, the big news of the week. Only 2 items, but certainly a lot to discuss within them. First one comes over from Polygon. Raven Software QA workers unionize within Activision Blizzard. I'm going to read you guys some quotes, and there's also going to be like some stories within stories as we start to talk. So bear with me for a little bit. I've got kind of 3 paragraphs here. Quality assurance workers at Raven Software, a subsidiary of Activision Blizzard, are unionizing within the Communication Workers of America. The group, called Game Workers Alliance, is the first group of workers to form a unit under Activision Blizzard. Workers are asking the company to voluntarily recognize the union, which has the support of the supermajority of Raven Software QA workers. That is 78% of the eligible workers. Huge majority there. Some Raven Software QA workers have been on strike since early December, after ABK denied new contracts for 12 members of the QA team. The strike of several dozen workers, according to the Washington Post, has no end date, and management has not yet responded to workers' demands. There's an update. This strike has already ended, by the way, but we'll get to that in a second. According to the CWA, Activision Blizzard has not cooperated with worker organizers. Instead, it's used surveillance and intimidation tactics, including hiring notorious union busters to silence workers. And then here's the update just so we can catch up. Activision Blizzard had issued a statement regarding Game Workers Alliance request for voluntary recognition. ABK is carefully reviewing the request for voluntary recognition from the CWA, which seeks to organize around 36 of the company's nearly 10,000 employees. While we believe that a direct relationship between the company and its team members delivers the strongest workforce opportunities, we deeply respect the rights of all employees under the law to make their own decisions about whether or not to join a union. Across ABK, we remain focused on listening closely to our employees and providing the improved pay, benefits, and professional opportunities needed to attract and retain the world's best talent. Over the past couple of years, this has included raising minimum compensation for Raven QA employees by 41%, extending pay time off, expanding access to medical benefits for employees and significant others, and transitioning more than 60% of temporary Raven QA staff into full-time employees. Whew. Thank you for enduring all that with me. Top level thoughts. Just the biggest thing is that we're finally getting a union, hopefully, in the video games industry in the U.S. There's already, I think, one other one across Europe, but in the U.S., this I think would be the first. So let's give it to Dan first and see what his thoughts are.
Yeah. And like the interesting thing is like instead of Activision actually like is talking about the unionization head on, they've kind of been avoiding it for the most part. And it seems like they're just kind of, saying, oh, they can do their thing. Like we're just not going to say anything or whatever. But then behind the scenes, they are doing some things that are a little shady. Like you read in the paragraph there that, monitoring employees and everything else. And I also heard on Twitter, I think I saw that they're changing how, I think Raven specifically is changing how their studio positions QA people. And I'm wondering if it's in order to try to stop people from joining this union, which I think is made up of what you said, 36 people. And what they're doing is they're placing QA people into all of the other departments. So you have, QA people in the art team, QA people in the design team, QA people in the coding team, whatever, all the different teams that they have. And the reason they're doing that, I think, is because they're trying to essentially tell them, hey, you're a full-time employee in the art team. Like, we're going to bring you on board full-time, give you full benefits, all of that. And they're trying to avoid the whole, unionization issue that's surrounding them right now. The problem to me with doing that, though, is the first time there's cuts made for the art team or the design team or whatnot is going to be from the QA team. It's going to be no different. It's essentially the same result. Because I did see there, I follow someone who works for 343, and he was actually applauding them doing this, saying like, this is actually really a good idea because we do this at 343 and it really helps with QA communicating with all the teams. But like, I don't know if he's necessarily seeing the other side of it of, well, those are the first people to go on those specific teams. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's changed a whole heck of a lot by them doing that.
And this you said that was Raven? No, that's not Raven. Is that Activision Blizzard doing that? Like having them?
I'm not 100% sure if it's Activision telling them to do that, but I know Raven specifically was the one doing that. That I saw on Twitter. Their head, I forget his name, that he had announced that change for their developer. But I don't know what that means for Activision as a whole. Obviously, we don't know what's being said behind the scenes or anything, but I don't know.
Yeah, these stories are always hard for me to comment on besides what I've already said, because it's a lot for me personally to wrap my head around, because I don't understand everything that's always being said, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, I just want what's best for the workers at Raven Software and all these other places. And I think a union would obviously push that in the right direction. We have seen this in other countries, and I I just wish it would start happening here. I think a lot of studios like Raven Software are starting to push, and I don't think this is a new thing. I think gaming studios have been trying to do it, but I feel like it's starting to get more traction as of late, which is good. I hope that because of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision, maybe something like this will happen more easily in the future. I'm not sure if that's a crazy ask, but maybe things will start to change as time goes on.
Yeah.
But I could only hope for that. But good for them for striking and expecting honestly the bare minimum for their hard work. So I think they should be treated fairly, and the fact that Activision is like, we with the deepest respect, but at the same time, no, we're not doing that. Is just it's shady, it's sad, and I hope that Activision gets their comeuppance, and I hope Raven Software gets what they rightfully deserve, which is a union and fair pay and all that wonderful benefits and stuff like that. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Activision talks about how they've, don't get me wrong, like they are raising, extending PTO.
Yeah.
They've got benefits. They're raising pay, which of course all jobs should do. That's the hope, right? The other hope is that, God forbid, games industry people have job security. Like the cycle always goes, after a game launches, the first people to go are like the quote unquote non-essential workers, and like I think people are kind of fed up with that, right? And so I was just crazy to think about, like, out of 10,000 people, 36, as less than 1% of the workers are being like, you know what, let's start a union, let's get some job security going. And Activision Blizzard is like, no, it's like less than 1%. That's insane. And like Rose said, like, yeah, is change happening? Let's hope so. Whether or not it pushes through, I don't know. My hope is that yes, but all we need is the one domino to fall. Eventually, there will be, hopefully, a union somewhere in the games industry, and like after that, I think you'll start to see a lot more pop up. Hopefully, otherwise. And then just to press on that further, this comes from Game Industry .biz. Raven QA strike ends following the unionization vote as a show of good faith. Like, which I thought was like insane. Like the workers like, look, listen, like we're ready to go back to work. We're asking for this one small thing from you, and then they do it with a show of faith by ending the strike, which is that is like insanely brave for them to do.
Yeah, they're obviously setting a future precedent for the rest of the industry. Obviously. And like that's the important thing to think about. It's not necessarily the number of people involved with this, because it is only 36 people involved out of a company of 10,000. But it's setting a precedent to say, hey, this is something we want for the future for this industry. And once the first domino falls, so to speak, there will be many more to follow. So I'm sure it will just probably cause change throughout the industry, I would imagine, if this continues the way it keeps going. So
Definitely, yeah. It's like you said, it's 36 people, but it's like that situation when you're in class where you're too afraid to ask the question, but everybody in the room is thinking the exact same thing as you. Everybody's just too embarrassed to ask it. But when somebody asks the question, it's like, you know what, yeah, and then everybody just climbs on board. So like you said, Dan, I hope it just sparks more people to do the same.
Yeah, here's hoping they get what they want and what they deserve. It's going to be interesting to see how Activision responds and if the acquisition at all changes anything. Otherwise, moving on to some more positive news, I suppose. Some happy news for us, I guess. This comes from EA. EA has confirmed that Respawn Entertainment work on not one, not two, but 3 new Star Wars titles. Of course, they have a new Star Wars Jedi game. Presumably, it probably is Fallen Order 2, which I thought has already been confirmed. Maybe it hadn't. Otherwise, there you go, confirmation, Fallen Order 2. A new Star Wars FPS game led by Peter Hirschman, who has worked on games such as the Medal of Honor franchise, of the older Battlefronts, and then some of the Force Unleashed games as well. Important to note here that Battlefront 3 has indeed been canceled. in lieu of this new Star Wars FPS game led by Respawn. And then a new Star Wars strategy game published by Respawn but developed by new studio BitReactor. So I ask everyone. I saw this on Twitter as a great question. As a great tweet. Is Respawn the Insomniac of Star Wars? Also, R.I.P. Titanfall.
Like how Insomniac is like the Marvel equivalent, I guess. Of what do you?
Just how
I don't know.
just how Insomniac is making like so many
Oh, right,
like
right. Okay.
quality games,
Yeah.
and just the fact that EA obviously has a lot of respect and good faith, a lot of faith in Respawn to kind of lead all these projects.
Yeah.
Like they're the one that EA like consistently trusts them to make quality products, which I think is fantastic.
And then I think we'll see, because Titanfall and Titanfall 2 was really well received. I don't know if the first one was so much, but I think they got like their recent praise in recently with Titanfall 2 and Apex. And those are two really good games. I'm not sure if there's others that I might be missing. But if these next few well, of course, Fallen Order, right? So I guess yeah, they do have a really good track record. So yeah, I'm super excited for the sequel for Fallen Order. I'm definitely interested in this first-person shooter game, though. I'm that's usually not a genre that I'm really into, but I'm interested to see what Respawn does with it, coming from Titanfall. So I'll be interested to see what they do with Star Wars, that IP.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that I'm
Yeah.
excited for from them.
Yes, I agree with you, Ro. It is the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order sequel is going to be amazing. I can't wait for that. And Respawn's been killing it. And like you said, EA trusts. Well, obviously, they trust Respawn, but like that starts with Vince Zampella at the top. Vince Zampella is freaking just doing amazing work with his teams, and like the amount of games they're making right now is insane. Like they're making Jedi Fallen Order, they're making the FPS. I think they have another team making a like action adventure type game as well from what's his name? What is his name? I forget his name, but I think they have another team working on something else. Wait, maybe that's the Star Wars FPS game actually. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Could have been.
Yeah. Oh gosh, what's his name? Stig something. Sorry. Anyways, completely irrelevant. But yeah, it's very exciting that Respawn's making all this stuff and EA continues to trust them. And yeah, they're even they're going into publishing a game with this strategy game. That's super cool.
We're looking for Stig Asmussen.
Yes, Stig Asmussen. Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. Which
previously worked on God of War for Santa Monica
Yes.
Studio. He's currently working at Respawn.
And that's why I think people were thinking he would be making an action adventure game for Respawn, but I don't know if he's tagged to this FPS team or if he's doing another thing, which would be crazy because they'd be making 3 games at once. Whew. In addition to supporting Apex, which Jesus.
Yeah, I'm sure Respawn is huge, and I'm sure they have enough people to be working on all these things. I just hope that they don't get stretched too thin, and that EA doesn't depend on them too much, and that they give them, that space and time to make all these projects, which I'm sure they will. I'm sure these games aren't coming out back to back to back or in a close proximity to each other, so I'm sure they're going to have time between projects. So that's the only thing I'm worried about, that they aren't tackling too much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm excited. I did say, I don't know if this was in the pre-show or if it was pre-show. I am Star Wars'd out right now, but Respawn could definitely get me back into the franchise if anything. So I'm excited to see what they make.
One quick question here: what are your hopes for the FPS game, or what do you think it'll be? Because with Battlefront 3 being canceled, do you see them going back and doing like some kind of like rebooting of Battlefront and like what that looks like under Respawn, or do you think it would be more like a narrative kind of experience, like akin to like a Call of Duty, like a tentpole story?
I think the latter. Yeah, I think it'll be more like Call of Duty type, Apex type of action, but some cool set pieces and very narrative focus. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah, I think EA is kind of scared themselves with with Battlefront because DICE kind of destroyed the launch of Battlefront 2 due to the I guess EA did at the end of the day with the microtransactions, but that sucks. Obviously DICE didn't have a great launch with Battlefield 2042, so I'm kind of wondering where that places DICE in EA's repertoire at this point.
Yeah, I hope the first person shooter is a narrative based. I remember Battlefront 2 having a campaign as well, right? It had like I
Oh, with
forgot what it was
Janik
called, but-
Gavankar?
Yes, and that was first
Yeah.
person. And I was kind of let down by that one, so hopefully Respawn kind of fixes that and delivers a cool first person narrative. That would be cool.
We got
Man, I forgot about that campaign. Sorry.
No, you're good. We've got only Resh in the chat. He said, I'm mainly excited that the producer of the OG Battlefront games is a designer on the new FPS. Of course, yes. That is a very big thing. Of course, people were, loved the original Battlefront games.
Dude, the OG Battlefront 2? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Oh, so good. Okay. That's it. That's our news for the week. We did it, everyone.
Heck yeah.
But before we get into the topic of the show, I want to know what's going on. What you got for me, Dan? What have you been up to?
What I have for you is, and you literally just threw me on the spot here because I'm like, shit, I forgot to write down what I've got for myself. And now I have to think what I have for myself because I forgot.
We can skip you and go to Row.
Yeah, skip me for a second because I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Okay. I don't have
Row?
much right now. I used a little bit more of my Steam gift card and got a game. I'm hesitating to call it a game right now because it's weird. It's a visual novel though, and it's called Needy Streamer Override. And it is you are. I don't even want you guys to search it up. It is embarrassing that I'm playing this, but basically, your girlfriend is a streamer, and you are like kind of deciding what she does. When I bought this, I didn't realize like how in depth I'll be controlling her life, and I kind of feel uncomfortable playing this game. But you like decide if she goes out with you or if she streams for the night, and she's just like trying to. It's not well, I don't know if it's inappropriate yet, but it's like overwhelmingly positive on Steam. It's like, oh, okay, I love visual novels. I love the art style of this. Let's give it a shot. I didn't do enough research. But all that being said, I am enjoying it to a degree. It's just very weird. The dialogue, obviously, very anime, but not the good parts of anime. You know what I mean? But I do like the art style, and I'm definitely going to see it through because I think as the story goes on, it probably dives deeper into like at least what I've read on the reviews that it dives deeper into like internet culture and the bad sides of that.
Yeah,
so I'm interested to see what they have to say on that topic, but I'm very early on right now, and so I'll report back on that one. But so far, very weird. I love the vaporwave sort of aesthetic that it has, though, so that's fun to look at. But it's definitely some weird relationship issues that are going on in the game, to say the least.
Color me intrigued here, Oni-chan, because I went over to the YouTube page to watch what the trailer of this game is.
Yes.
And the comments are just filled with people saying like, "This game is awesome!" Like
Right?
going
Okay.
through like the narrative was awesome. Like it's worth to go through it. And then I'm watching this video and it says multiple wild endings. So it's like I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Let me know what you think by the time you end up finishing it.
I will let you know. I will let you know for sure.
Okay. And that's it.
That is it, actually. Yes. And next week I'll be able to talk to you guys about Pokemon Arceus. I'm so excited. It's about Pokemon next week.
Nice.
So excited for that.
Fire.
Yes.
Dan,
Yes, I have it.
figured out.
I remembered Splinter Cell Conviction, a game that came out so long ago. I don't even remember what year, 2007, 8, 9, somewhere in there. I don't know. Maybe 2010, I'm guessing at this point. But no, this game in backwards compatibility, I played it with Glenn, which is one of Gage's friends, as well as my own friend. I'll claim him, I guess. But yeah, we had a ton of fun. Apparently, it's just my memory of Splinter Cell is just awful at this point because I played terribly. He destroyed me. But we did this one-on-one thing where you can face against each other, and you can either kill AI and get like points killing the AI around the map and sneaking around, or you can get 5 points if you kill, your opponent, the enemy person that you're playing against. And if you die, you also lose 5 points. So there's a huge swing in points just for dying from another person. So Glenn kills me once and I'm done. I'm screwed. So
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. So yeah, it was a cool check-in with Splinter Cell and makes me still want that reboot that we're supposed to get. It'll probably be about 3 years away. But oh well. I'll keep hoping for it.
I pray that game is going to be good. You guys deserve it.
Me too.
Same, man. Same. Guys, I've been playing a certain zombie game, and I want you guys to guess which one. Give me one guess each.
Oh, I already know the answer. I can't answer.
Back for Blood?
Oh, do you follow me on GG, Ro?
I do.
Is that what you saw? Okay, yeah, okay. So yeah, don't guess. It is not Back for Blood. Earlier last week, my buddy hits me up and he's like, "Yo, have you been checking the Twitch Prime loot?" And I'm like, "No, I never check it. Why would I?" And he's like, "We'll do it because they're giving away a game, and I want us to play together." What game was that? It was World War Z.
Oh.
Of course, based off of the novel, and then the movie, developed by Saber Interactive. And let me tell you, Saber Interactive, I apologize. World War Z rocks, dude. I'm having so much fun. I heard nothing about this game back in 2019. I'm sorry, but I'm glad I finally was able to check it out. Twitch gave away like the full edition, so I have all the episodes. And it's really cool because every episode is like these like vignette chapters, following these characters in different like cities across the world. Like there's Jerusalem, there's Tokyo. There's New York, obviously, is a big one. And the thing with each chapter within each episode is it leads up to these like massive horde moments. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's like 2 or 3. And dude, I don't know how they do it, but there's like literally like thousands of zombies in every single chapter. Like we get to the end and like we look at the scoreboard, if you do the math, it's between like 2,000 and 3,000 zombies, which is insane. And to have hundreds of them at one time is so cool. I want to shout out just doing like missions like going through a mall and like having hordes like break through the doors, or coming out of the Russian metro and like the zombies, the Zeke are falling down, and like they'll reach the ground below you, and then they start coming up from like both. Now some are coming from up top and now from below you. But the one in Jerusalem got me. And I'll just say this one story, then I'll shut up. We're going down the street for our next objective, and we're supposed to reach this car, search for car parts, and then like fix it so that we can escape from this episode. And I've got my sniper out, and I'm looking through the magnifying scope, and in the background I see a bunch of zombies coming over a hill, and I tell my buddy, "Hey, there's like a bunch of them coming," and he's like, "Nah, it can't be. That looks like pre-rendered background. Like they're way too far away." Well, let me try shooting, and of course, like it didn't reach it. It was too far away. And I was like, "Okay, yeah, you're right. It's pre-rendered." We go up to the car. We start finding car parts. He goes, "Hey, the zombies in the background, they're here now, and they're climbing over the fence." And dude, it was literally hundreds of zombies. It was like every episode is so frantic. I love it. So, World War Z. It might still be free on Twitch Prime. I'm not sure if it is, but otherwise, yeah, it's awesome.
It is. I just looked because I was curious, but I was close. It's a Left 4 Dead-ish game, right?
Yeah, 4-person co-op. And I think Saber Interactive is working on the Evil Dead game that's coming out. I think either this year or next year. But so now, color me excited for the new Elden Ring. The Elden Ring. Evil Dead. I can't escape Elden Ring, man. I'm sorry.
It's taking over your life.
That's it. Alrighty. You guys ready for the topic of the show?
Yes.
Am I?
Yeah. Bill of the Xbox future, baby. Topic of the show is going to be a little bit different because it's kind of a mixture of news, but also kind of just our thoughts on what this news kind of implies for the games industry. So I split it up into 4 separate categories here. One is the question of multi-platform, right? Well, Activision games certainly are going to remain under contract for a little while until the deal goes through. Which games? We'll see. Call of Duty is a big one. That's our next kind of sub-segment is Call of Duty. What happens with that? We got some news there. Obviously, we have Phil's plans for Activision Blizzard, what he said, and then just an overall question of Game Pass. So to get us started, one, Activision games under contract will remain multi-platform for now. At least Sony hopes so. Sony put out, I think, a statement early last week, and this was like Thursday. But we expect that Microsoft will abide by contractual agreements and continue to ensure Activision games are multi-platform. And to that, I have a link here saying, let's read Phil's tweet. What did he say? He said, had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry, and we value our relationship. Obviously, when I saw that, the immediate reaction is like, "Oh, cool! Like Phil's being the good guy. He's gonna let." No, I didn't realize Dan left to go with his dog. He's back.
I'm back. Sorry.
The immediate reaction was like, "Oh yeah, cool. These games are safe. They'll be multi-platform for a little while." But then you read closely, and as many people pointed out, it's like, yeah, the tweet is very specifically worded with, the words desire and intent. It's kind of placing the onus on Sony. Like, we still, like, Xbox still holds the cards. Like, well, we wanted to put it on your consoles, but you didn't want to put Game Pass on PlayStation, or et cetera, et cetera. What do you guys think here?
Yeah, I agree that his tweet is very intentional in his wording, how he said, like you said, desire and intent. We want to do it, but can we do it, sort of thing. But I Call of Duty is one of those games that I think is going to stay multi-platform. I don't think everything is, though. I do think
Right.
Xbox wants to keep some of those games for themselves, and I think later on we're going to be talking about Game Pass and where we think that'll be in the future. So I don't want to jump the gun yet, but it'll be interesting to see how Xbox works with Sony to have those games multi-platform. It is their desire, so they say. So it'll be interesting to see how that relationship hopefully blossoms into something more positive instead of a competition. But that's what I am so excited to talk about later is how that relationship evolves or devolves because of Microsoft's want to be everywhere.
I agree with you, Ro. I don't think Call of Duty will stop being multi-platform, and we have another story here in a second we'll talk about, I know, but I just don't see that happening. It makes too much money. It's such a big franchise, and I don't see this acquisition being the same as the Bethesda acquisition, because Bethesda, yes, they have some big IPs and stuff like that, but they don't have anything close to the level of Call of Duty in terms of sales and how much money it makes. And so, I think that Call of Duty I think Call of Duty will always be multi-platform, but eventually I think pretty much the rest of Activision's properties will be exclusive to Xbox, because again, like I said, and we all said during the Bethesda acquisition announcement, they don't buy a studio for this amount of or a publisher for this amount of money and then not make the games exclusive. It doesn't make sense to do that. So yeah, I think it's a matter of time, minus Call of Duty, of course. But
yeah, Kurok in the chat said, "I have just one word, Bethesda." So yeah, I think he agrees with that. With making some changes, but maybe not everything. As Only Rush says, I think there's no way COD ever goes 100% exclusive, even if it's only Warzone that's multiplat. Other games exclusive easily.
I was the exact same. Yeah, there's Warzone I can see sticking on multi-platform because that's where the true like player base is, at least right now, right? That's where most people are playing the Call of Duty is Warzone, and that's where a lot of like money is made because people are playing it, right? And that's where you get the next kind of microtransaction. People are buying loot boxes in there as well. I haven't played Warzone in a while. I don't know what it looks like. I haven't played it since like early Cold War era. Just to add more to the Call of Duty fire, Activision, this according to Bloomberg, reported by Bloomberg, Activision is committed to releasing at least the next 3 Call of Duties on PlayStation, even after the Xbox acquisition. That is COD 2022 coming out later this year. COD 2023, whatever the next Call of Duty, which I'm sure is probably already in development. Probably the Treyarch, I think, would be the next one up. And then Warzone 2, also in 2023, which I didn't know they were working on Warzone 2. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Presumably, I think these are because just these games are already in production. Deals have been made to get these multi-platform, so I'm reading it that way. And again, I don't know. I can definitely see Call of Duty being exclusive to the Microsoft platforms, having it be console exclusive on Xbox or on PC. If you want to play Warzone, you can play it on PS5. Otherwise, you got to get Game Pass or an Xbox.
Makes sense.
I'm going to bring in one more story here. I'll pull it up. Number 3. This is an interview with Phil Spencer. He is confident that workplace issues at Activision Blizzard will be resolved. He is happy with new IPs, and specifically, he wants to bring in some of the older IPs that he played when he was back when a child, right? Like some of the ones that we played as children. He is happy with the new IPs, and he specifically mentioned King's Quest, Guitar Hero, and Hexen. He wants to support the new teams to work on franchises he loved as a kid. So, whether or not Call of Duty is multi-platform, that's a separate discussion. Do we think Phil's going to let the teams go and bring back great games that we used to love as kids? And what games would you like to see?
Yeah, I think you will, because obviously, like we've talked. I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but like he's given the development freedom to a lot of the developers now that like they can do whatever they want essentially. Like we've talked about Obsidian doing their smaller team making Grounded, and Ninja Theory making their Bleeding Edge game, which was that multiplayer like hack and slash type brawler game. So yeah, I totally believe him, and he brought back Voodoo Vince when one of his first things that he did when he took over as head of Xbox is he's like, I loved Voodoo Vince as a kid and I want to bring that back, and he brought it back as a remaster. So I would not be shocked to see Guitar Hero, King's Quest, Hexen all return. So yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I would love Guitar Hero out of the ones that we have mentioned here to return.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. I would love that. I still have my plastic guitar in my mom's basement. So I could just if he really does make it backwards compatibility as well. Like just use your old one, your old guitar. You could even use that. Don't have to go out and buy a new one if he does bring it back. That would be super cool. But yeah,
I think we talked about this last week as well, but what I desperately want to see is kind of teams that are currently supporting kind of the Call of Duty heads, right? The like supporting Warzone. I think Beanox is one of those studios who has to support Warzone. Like seeing those developers go off, or like being let off, right, with the new acquisition and being like, hey, Phil Spencer being like, hey, what games do you want to make? Like I would love to see him come and just speak to all these studios and be like, what do you guys want to make? Right?
True.
Let's finish out helping with Warzone 2, and then let's talk about what projects you'd like to see come up in the pipeline. That I think would probably be the most exciting thing out of this acquisition.
Warzone 2 is such a weird thing to say. It's like I don't even understand what that means. Like when they say they're making a Warzone 2, it's like
Overwatch 2.
Yeah,
energy right there.
Yeah,
what is that?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Yeah.
I guess that's the other question too with us thinking about Call of Duty as well, is like if let's say Call of Duty goes exclusive, but Warzone remains multi-platform. There goes Dan running, getting Bo back in, Bo back in the house. I'm gonna wait till it comes.
There we go.
Amazing.
Good luck.
Man is showing feet for free. I can't believe it. Okay, welcome back, sir.
Back.
I'm back. I didn't know you waited. Sorry.
With Warzone 2.
Yes.
Let's say Call of Duty goes exclusive down the road, but Warzone stays multi-plat. How do you differentiate those games? Because the current model of Warzone is having like it's under the Modern Warfare 2019 engine, but when a new COD releases, we get those assets, those guns. I don't know how placed into Warzone, right? You can use those guns. Like how is that going to look like, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even understand how it works now because like it's the same problem now. Like I don't understand why people who only play multiplayer of Call of Duty don't just play Warzone. I guess it's a different experience, I guess, but
very different.
Yeah.
Very different, Dan. Come on now. I don't know. I'm going to throw in the Game Pass discussion here as well. Industry folks have been debating whether or not Microsoft's endgame is to get Game Pass on as many platforms as possible. Obviously, we've seen that, right? Game Pass is on PC. What is the new streaming device or the app that they want to get a Game Pass on smart TVs as well? I think we talked about that maybe a month ago or 2 months ago. And so the big question is, do we see Game Pass on PlayStation, right? I kind of alluded to this earlier with Phil's tweet. If we're going to interpret his desire to get COD on the PlayStation hardware, like, does he want to do that with Game Pass, right? And so, like, the games industry people have been talking about this on Twitter, like, all week. I personally don't see it happening. I legit don't see what PlayStation has to gain from having Game Pass on their system or on their console. I don't know what it would how it would benefit them.
They would get.
Am I crazy?
Call of Duty, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Ro.
Go ahead, Dan. No, go for it, Dan.
Okay.
Go for it.
Personally, I think that this would only benefit Sony. Like, maybe I'm thinking about it wrong, but yeah, like, I don't see how this. I guess not only benefit, but like majority benefit them because yes, Microsoft will get, the revenue from the games being on that platform. But like at the end of the day, this is why I don't think that Game Pass will come to PlayStation, because at the end of the day, Microsoft still wants to drive you to their platforms, Windows or Xbox, the physical Xbox. Of course, he grabs his toy right when I start talking. Yes, of course, they're going to want to sell Xbox consoles still. Yes, that's not their main concern anymore, but like that's still going to be a prerogative in their head. And I feel like them putting Game Pass on PlayStation would just drive those PlayStation gamers to just play Game Pass games on PlayStation. Like they have no incentive to go pick up an Xbox console. So he's quite upset at me for stealing the toy. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Ro, what were you thinking?
I was in a similar boat where I don't I know why Xbox wants to have Game Pass everywhere. And what I think about is like if Game Pass was on PlayStation, if it came to Nintendo Switch, and it's on PC, is that when Xbox stops making consoles? Like, what's the point of making an Xbox if you could just pick up a PlayStation and get all the games there? So it is a weird thing to think about. Is it almost like what is Xbox gaining from putting it on PlayStation 2? It's a weird thing to think about. I'm sure there's a lot of business talk that is just flying over my head that, of course, like they would be making bank if they were on PlayStation. But I don't know. I don't know. If Xbox Game Pass has like Call of Duty and has all these great exclusive games that PlayStation loses out on because of the acquisition, I can see PlayStation thinking about it and wanting to have them on their platform. It's just so hard for me to imagine that.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. I do see the benefit of PlayStation having it, but I just don't see them actually going through and doing it.
Yeah, you guys make some good points. I guess No, you're right though, because I primarily play a lot of my games on my PS5. I don't have an Xbox, but when I do want to play Xbox games, I have them on PC. And so if Game Pass was available on console, right, I could play my Xbox games there. I don't have to worry about buying Xbox hardware. That is a benefit for PlayStation. But then for me, what that does is kind of shift what I'm thinking about when I boot up my PlayStation, right? And suddenly I'm thinking, Xbox and Game Pass, and PlayStation doesn't have the same kind of service that Xbox has, and right, suddenly I'm being introduced to the Game Pass market on PlayStation. But when the next console starts coming out, or maybe like during the holidays, I'm not playing my PS5 games anymore. I'm playing everything on Game Pass. I'll just play Game Pass. That introduction on a different hardware is my gateway drug, I guess, if you want to put it that way, to kind of the Microsoft platforms. That's the way I see it. I also think Sony's probably too stubborn to even think about this. Like, they barely even want to do crossplay. Like, that was such a struggle for PlayStation to even want to do for such a long time. Frustratingly so, right? So I don't know. I really cannot see them doing it. And plus, they got like Spartacus coming out, which I think is maybe not meant to be a Game Pass competitor, but it's supposed to be kind of a service very similar to that. What that looks like, we'll wait and see. But yeah, as of now, I don't see it happening.
It's so interesting to think about though. Like, what if they what if they did? That would just be so crazy. Like, that would be like the Microsoft acquiring Activision was huge, but imagine Xbox Game Pass is now on PlayStation 4. Like, how mind blowing that day would be if that were to actually happen. That would just be wild.
And like Game Pass on Switch seems to me more plausible, just because like Nintendo's not necessarily a direct competitor with Microsoft. Like, there's people that own Switch and PS5s and Switch and Xboxes. Like, there's not a lot of carryover, because people take their Switch on the go and stuff like that. Like, there's other purposes for the Switch, and so I think I think personally we would possibly see Game Pass on Switch before we would see it on PlayStation.
Yeah. Although I don't know. I don't think every title would be available on Switch.
True.
Because I don't think Switch has the power to do that. But yeah,
yes,
it'd be great
Game
to
Pass, Switch Lite version. Like, they get a specific Game Pass version on the Switch.
Game Pass Lite.
In the cloud version, you could do just the Xbox Cloud streaming version. That's a thing now. So,
what times we live in that we're entertaining? Even having the conversation. Oh yeah, is Game Pass coming to PlayStation? I don't know. Last year I didn't think we'd be talking about something like this, and it's huge.
Keurig says Halo Infinite on PS5 has a nice ring to it.
Could you imagine with DualSense integration? Feel that hammer swing?
I gotta have the offset sticks. I can't do the parallels, the next to each other stick. I do a lot of this. My thumbs hit each other, and I'm like, what do I do now? I don't know.
Well, I like my rechargeable controllers, Dan.
I think
I can recharge mine, Christian. You remove the battery. I saw that on Twitter from someone posting that. I was like, what do you mean there's rechargeable battery packs in Xbox controllers? Granted, they don't come with the controller.
Else.
Yeah. But
I'm a Larry David gamer. You know what I mean? Like, everything has to be convenient.
It's fair.
Bro, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
What was I saying? I think you were saying something similar where like, if PlayStation was on, or if Xbox Game Pass was on PlayStation, just like how that possibly could negatively affect PlayStation gamers. Like, if you're just playing everything on Game Pass on your PlayStation 4, then what if you're just like, I'm not going to get the next exclusive big PlayStation 5 game because I'm fine with what I'm getting with Xbox Game Pass. I think they might think about stuff like that. Like, what if Game Pass is on here? They may be playing Xbox games instead of the games that we're making. Even though you have our console, you may be spending most of your time on that app. Yeah. Even though there's some benefits, but I'm sure they probably list the cons first before thinking about what may benefit us, because they're doing so well already. Like, they don't really need to even entertain that idea right now.
That is a really great point, Ro, that I hadn't thought of. Like, that totally makes sense to me, why Sony would not want it on there.
Mindshare. I mean, like, when a lot of people are like I think a lot of PS4 players, like when we think of like the word gamer, a lot of people are playing kind of the more, I don't want to say casual games because that's not really true, but like games like the your FIFAs, your NBAs, your Maddens, obviously the Battlefields, the Call of Duties. So when these people suddenly are introduced to Game Pass, right? And if Call of Duty comes to Game Pass, right? And like that's what they play for. Like who cares if, the next Horizon is coming out? Like I'm just playing Call of Duty anyway. Like I'm not even playing, the first party games anymore. And that's kind of where my head was at, but I don't know, I like Dan's point as well of, well, now I don't need to buy an Xbox. So I don't know, much to think about. I'm at a loss here.
Yeah.
I can't even decide if I'm playing Horizon or Elden Ring, so what do I know?
Play them both at the same time. That would be like the ultimate challenge.
I have 2 monitors, so I can do it. Any last thoughts here before we end the show?
That's it for me.
All right.
Of course, the dog
Well, okay, one last thing.
lays down when we're ending the show.
At the show's ending, I know. Let's say the next Call of Duty, the Call of Duty collection, akin to the Master Chief collection. Make that happen. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's a lot of
Put that on Game
games.
Pass. Put that on Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
I'll buy it. I guess I won't buy it. I'll have it. That's how that works. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Stitcher. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, me. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Gage, wherever you are. Hope you're doing well. I am Christian. This has been Podcast PXN, and we are out.
Much love and keep on gaming.
Drink water.